of Naruto, all she did was this. Or she did this.
I love it.
All of my lines are that, like, first.
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
And then sometimes you get the combo, which was the
I can't. It's too
It wasn't.
Oh, okay. All right. It's so loud, and sometimes if I've been talking a lot, I'll crack. It's like yelling. But what does she do? She goes, have you not watched the show?
I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm like, sorry. So she does, in the name of the moon, I'll punish you.
pretty nice.
I had nothing to do with the show. So if you grew up watching it on TV, that voice is not me. I was still a student. I was still very young. I was not working in this industry. And back then, there were actually 3 different actresses who voiced Sailor Moon back then.
Oh, wow.
And it was dubbed by 2 different companies. So a lot of the voice actors changed. I think only like 1 or 2 of the characters had the same voice actor consistently. One of like the Outer Guardians came in later. So for me, when I say I do the voice, I do it in the classic version. And whenever we say classic, that refers to the old show. The show that came out in 20 years ago, when I was still in school. So they basically are redubbing all of that old show with the current cast, the new cast that they've selected. There's several reasons to do that. One is, I don't know if you guys remember at the time or even know this, when they aired those on TV, it was severely edited. And it was severely stronger, but it was westernized, Ami became Amy, Usagi's name was like Bunny and Serena, Tuxedo Masks, what was his name? Darian?
Darian.
So there was a lot of things that were very different. Luna had a British accent, and they changed things because they wanted to make it appealing to a Western audience, and it changed a lot of the original creators' original intent, which is why this version of the dub is more like whatever the Japanese pure form, I guess. Another things that they did is they actually left out some of the episodes. Some episodes were just like too out there. They're like, oh, I don't think, they either edited out or they just didn't even air them, so they skipped over some of the episodes. They actually skipped over entire seasons. There were certain seasons that they didn't dub. It's the Sailor Starlights, I guess, they didn't dub because they're like dudes who like transform into girls, which was like yeah, season 5. So they didn't even, there's whole seasons that they didn't dub because they're like, oh, I don't know how we can sell that. And a huge part of it too is the Outer Guardians are lesbians. And they were like, what? Audiences don't know. They will not watch lesbians. It'll be too freaky for them. And children will not understand what lesbians are. So we must change them to be cousins who are roommates who don't like men. So that's what they changed it in the dub.
Oh
they
my
were
God.
not lovers. They became cousins who just were roommates who didn't like guys. Who were very close cousins. I will say that in talking to most of the people who watched it back then, we are not idiots. Everyone pretty much knew they were lesbians. So that's something that is in our dub of it. We stay true. They are lesbians. They're in love, and actually their love story is very beautiful. That's to clarify in terms of what my part in the classic series is. And Viz has said we will be dubbing all of it, which means we will be dubbing all of the seasons and all of the movies from the original.
Nice.
And we are dubbing Sailor Moon Crystal. Sailor Moon Crystal is, so you guys all seem like savvy fans, right? So you guys all know that the way anime production works is lots of times there's a manga, which is like a comic, and it becomes really popular, and they say, hey, let's do an anime of it. But because it takes a lot longer for one manga artist to like draw every story, and then once the anime starts, it's like one episode a week, I think. It takes very little time for the anime to catch up to the manga. And so you'll get to a point where the anime is caught up to the storyline of the manga. And then the anime doesn't know what to do with the storyline because they're like, oh, we don't have any more story. It's based on the manga, but the manga's not written yet. What do we do? Kind of where Game of Thrones is headed right now. The only difference is the producers of Game of Thrones, I think, are actually have regular meetings with George R. How many R's are it? Is it two? Okay, I wasn't sure people were stuttering or if he actually had two R's. But yeah, George R. R. Martin. They have regular meetings, so they know what he's planning, so that when they write for the TV show, they can not totally branch off into separate thing. But back then, for the original Sailor Moon anime, they didn't know where it was going, and then they would have like what you call filler episodes, which is like episodes that aren't tied into the main storyline because they didn't know what to do because they don't want to risk messing up the story. And then other times they just kind of like invented their own storyline, and that's why I think a lot of Sailor Scouts, they died and then would come back to life because they didn't like know what was going on in the story. So then when they wanted to redo Sailor Moon with Sailor Moon Crystal, they said, hey, this manga is so old, all of the story is completely out. Let's redo it and let's do a version that is faithful to the manga. So there's not really filler episodes and the storyline follows the manga storyline. So that's why Sailor Moon Crystal is being done. And it's really cool because the tone is very different. The art is a lot cleaner. The art looks a little bit more like the art style in the manga. It's a little bit more serious in tone though. I like both of them because I like comedy, so I like the wackiness of the original TV series a lot. But I also do like all of this, like all of the details of like the plot and where the story's going in Crystal. So that was my inquiry. Did you guys already do that? Did I just like waste my breath?
No, we didn't.
All right. Do you guys have questions? Yes. Just shout it out there. We're not a big crowd.
Where will we be able to find the redub?
It's on Hulu and it's also on DVD. And if you buy the DVD from Viz, they do a really pretty job with the box sets. The marketing team at Viz, by the way, are all huge Sailor Moon fans. They are huge Sailor Moon. So they put a lot of care and detail and budget into the way that looks, because for them it's like they want to make a collector's item that other Sailor Moon fans want. So they are very, Charlene's always talking about more sparkles. So, what other questions do you have? Yes?
How does it feel redubbing like an anime that you used to watch?
I actually didn't watch it regularly. I was kind of at that age where it's like I was like in college, so it was like a little bit like I thought it was too cool. I was like Latina. I don't know what it is, but I've been mistaken for Latina many times in my life. I think because maybe when I don't know, I don't really look Chinese. Maybe I'm 100% Chinese, but a lot of people think I'm Filipino or Latina. But, I don't know.
I always confuse you with Todd Habercorn, but that's just me. I mean,
Todd is half Asian.
well, that's the thing. I'm just confused with all these percentages. But
Todd always tells me that I look like his grandmother or something like that.
That's what
Well, I don't think he means that. Like I look like a grandmother, but because I think his grandmother
the oldest person I can think of. It's you.
is short. Like
She's short and Asian.
yeah, she's short and Asian too, or something like that. I don't know.
I apologize that I was dealing with something. I wandered away just to see if you still needed me, and apparently you did. We do have your time check. We got about 12 minutes left because we are going to we have to dump the room and then reload for each panel.
Okay.
So that way you're
That's okay. They were running out of questions anyway, right?
Right, they're like, oh, we don't even need you anymore.
You're running out of
10-minute warning, folks. 10-minute warning. Don't hold back. Ask away.
What? Who hasn't asked a question? Okay, you guys can decide. And I won't mess it up. And I said, oh, cool. And I was like, oh, what show are you working on? He's like, I can't tell you. And then I was like, oh, is this that show that is like recording really soon, but like you have to be available for like Anime Expo that Studiopolis is doing, that, you know, and then he was like, why I believe it is that show that you have to, like everyone is like, and like no one, even when I ran into Sherry and she had been cast, we would like, everybody who was in it would never say the name of the show, we would all like talk around it, you know, that super secret show, that blah, blah, blah. So I was talking, and I was like, oh, I was like, well, congratulations, Robbie. I can guess what part you're playing because there's really not that many parts, you know? And then Robbie goes, oh, and he goes, do you know what part you're playing? And I said, no, I do not, but I go in like next week or whatever. And he was like, and he like had like this really weird pause. He goes, and I was like, what, do you know what part you're playing? No, why would I know what part you're playing, right? And then he leaves. And it isn't until Anime Expo, after we already started recording and stuff, where we're doing press interviews for Viz in like the hotel room and stuff. And then Robbie says, actually, you know what? I knew who you were playing. I was like, how did you know who you were playing? They was like, when they sent me the email to let me know I was cast, they somehow forwarded me, like on the forward of like, from a previous email, whatever, they sent me the entire cast list. He knew everybody was playing. But he also had to sign an NDA, and he was like, wait, if she doesn't know, I shouldn't say anything, right? So he didn't say anything. And then the day before I went in to record Sailor Moon, I was working on Naruto, and Mary Elizabeth was directing. I think it was Naruto. Yeah, I think it was Naruto. And Mary Elizabeth was directing, and Jamie Simone, the president of Studiopolis, pokes his head in and he goes, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. And I wasn't thinking, and I was like, huh? What? I'm seeing you tomorrow, what for? And he's like, yeah, for that project. No one's like saying anything, right? And then I was like, oh, right, okay, yeah, I'm really excited. And then he leaves, and then 2 seconds later, the door opens again, and Jimmy's like, did I tell you who you were playing? And then I was like, no. And he goes, oh, you're playing her, the girl, you're gonna play the Sailor Moon. And then I hear on the talk back, Mary Elizabeth go, oh my God, congratulations! And then Jamie looks through the glass and goes, shush, don't tell anyone. And then he just runs out. If you meet Jamie, he's like very, you know, just pops in and out, like, you know. So that's how I found out and this is so funny, because like Viz did touch up on the original, right? And at that point, I didn't even know it was the original show. I thought it was like Crystal or whatever. So I go in there, and you know, you get to see the scenes and stuff. And Viz did a lot of like touch up on the visuals to make it look really good. You know, to clean up the image and stuff because it's an old show. And they did such a good job that like I'm sitting there in the booth, you know, like we have the headphones on and like watching stuff, and they play me stuff, and I see like the theme song stuff, and I hear the theme song, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. They kept the theme song, you know. And then I'm like watching, and I was like, yeah, the art. And then I was like, blah blah. And I was like, the art looks really clean. It's really nice. And then the people at Viz is like, what are you talking about? And I was like, this is like the new Sailor Moon, right? And because I didn't watch it growing up, so I didn't know it was in fact. They're like, no, this is the old Sailor Moon. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, no, this is the old series. We're redubbing it. And I was like, oh, now I feel stupid. And then Charlene, who is head of marketing, she wanted to be there for like the first day of recording, so she flew down from San Francisco to be there and to interview us. And then she brought her own Sailor Moon doll, like for me to have like in the booth while I was recording, you know, to be like cheering me on. It's really sweet. So like everybody on that team really is a fan of the show. And yeah, so, and I was really scared in the beginning, but then I also, when I was doing my research, and then I listened to some of the old voices, and you know, I think it helped me not defer to that characterization, because there were 3 different actresses who played her, and the first 2 actresses were kind of slightly similar, but like the 3rd actress was very different.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's kind of, it gave me more freedom to feel like I can do whatever I felt like, instead of trying to do what was in the past, because there were multiple versions of what she sounded like. So, that was long-winded. Anyone else have any That's it? No. All right. Anyone catch Pokemon? Yes, you over there.
What was your favorite episode?
That's hard, because now we've done so many. We're not done yet, but we've done a lot. Gosh, it's really hard. I still really like a lot of the beginning comedic episodes. One of my favorite episodes to record was when her and Naru are singing. When they decide they're gonna be stars, and then they're singing very badly. I think it's very fun to sing very badly. And actually Danielle, who voices Naru, is a very, very good singer. So she had a really hard time to sing really badly. It's harder if you have a very good ear. I have an okay ear. But that was a lot of fun to do. I also think the episode where all the girls are fighting like crazy to win an all-expense-paid wedding reception is hilarious, considering they didn't have any boyfriends at the time. I'm trying to think what else. I think that's all that's coming to mind right now. Yes?
When you record your lines, do you do it with other
Actors? No. No. We do not do it with other actors, but I do know most of the other actors. I mean, now I know them, you know. I'm not as close with the Outer Guardians, but I'm pretty close to the Inner Guardians. You know, we group text each other all the time, and I knew a lot of them and we were friendly with a lot of them even prior to that, you know. And we don't record together at all, but we will go to conventions together, we'll do events together, and we'll just hang out sometimes. I know, like Sheremy one time asked, there's a gym in LA called Nerd Strong, and it's basically geared towards people who are geeky and nerdy, and they'll have, it's kind of a little bit like CrossFit type of thing, where you have to do reps of stuff, but they'll do things in a fun way. Like, Sheremy invited Amanda, actually all of us, but me and Amanda showed up to do this thing at the Nerd Strong gym where it was like the Star Wars theme. So what they ended up doing was they split the room. You got split into either Rebels or the Empire, and then you got in partners, and you had to do sit-ups and then lift these like balls, and then you like throw the ball against the wall, and you had to do reps. And you and your partner would trade off, and basically whichever side finished, it was like a relay almost, except for it's a simultaneous relay. So you're only as fast as the slowest person on your team, but you can like cheer them on and stuff. And it was basically the Rebel Alliance versus the Empire, and it was fun. It just with people got there, we were wearing all their like nerdy Star Wars stuff, and at the end they set up this thing with this ball and these like basket things, and they're like, oh, it's like who wants to shoot to blow up the Death Star, you know, like things like that. It's just like a cute way to get like nerds to exercise and have a community and make it be more about that. So yeah, we'll do things and hang out and stuff. Actually, Christmas time is like kind of funny. Like I was online and I saw a bunch of socks. Like they have like the little Sailor Moon like footsie socks, and they have them for like most of the Guardians. I don't know if they have the Outer Guardians, but they definitely have like the Inner Guardians. And so I decided to, and they're really cheap because they're like cheap little socks. I decided to buy a pair of socks for all of the Guardians, and I bought them their Guardian socks, right? So I bought everybody's socks, and since I don't see everybody regularly, you know, I left them at the studio because I figured everybody has to come in and record their lines. So I left them at the studio, and I mass texted everybody, said, hey you guys, I got you a little something for Christmas. I left it at the studio, feel free, you know, just make sure, don't forget to pick it up. And then Sheremy said, oh, I got you guys something too, you know, I'll leave it, that's a great idea, I'll leave it at the studio, right? So I think we took a break, so we didn't record over the holidays so much, but I think sometime in January I went in, and then I was like, oh, we gotta pick up the gift from Sheremy, right? And then Susie, who's the director, goes, oh yeah, you gotta pick up the gift from Sheremy. I was like, what are you talking about? You're being so weird. He's like, no, wait till you see it. I'm like, what is it? Is it like, I'm scared now? He's like, no, you just wait till you see it. And I was like, what is going on? And so I get to the reception desk, and then I get my gift, and I open my gift, and she got me the exact same thing.
That's funny.
So like me and her got everybody the same thing. Okay, so now we all have multiple pairs of socks of our character.
That's funny.
Independently, anyway. Yes, you.
So will you be also doing dubbing for Sailor Moon Crystal or just the classic series?
Yeah, we've actually started dubbing for Crystal. So, and the tone for Crystal's a little bit different. Her voice is a little bit older. She's not as wacky just because the tone is not wacky. Like, we still want to make her funny, but it's not quite so cartoony. Because just the animation isn't that cartoony. Yes, you were there. Not for Usagi, it's not that difficult for her, for her. And also, we do preview the lines before we record it, so it helps, it helps kind of, get you back in the character, seeing it and stuff. Also, like, for the classics series, Usagi starts off every episode with kind of like a narration. She has that like narration of like, oh my gosh, blah 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 blah, this happened, da da da, and oh, I'm gonna punish you, right? So that to me, like for every episode, is a little bit of like a warm up of getting her into her character, So, any other questions? Yes, you were there. Oh, Hinata, not a Sailor Moon character, but I grew up very shy, and so it means a lot to me that a lot of people resonate with that character because I was a very shy girl, and it's not hard. And I wanted to make a difference between someone who was shy versus someone who's weak, and that was important. And I feel like hopefully I got that across. Any other Sailor Moon questions? Yes.
If you had been cast as Sailor Moon, which other guardian would you have liked to voice?
Did you say if I wasn't cast in Sailor Moon?
Yeah, as Sailor Moon, which other guardian would you have liked to voice?
I think I would have liked to voice Saturn because she has so many dimensions to her, and I like to voice characters that have almost like multiple voices or multiple personalities, and so I think Saturn would have been a fun one to do. Yeah. Yes, you were there.
Between the original and Crystal, do you have a favorite woman voice?
I will say that I have more fun doing the classic series because the storyline is more fun. But I don't necessarily think it's like I favor it. Do you know what I mean? It's just like a different experience. Like, but it's more like it's more fun. The process is more fun because it's funnier and it's sillier. So like if you're acting funny or silly, you feel that way. Like, I don't know. Am I making any sense? Any other questions? Yes, you from that red, pink-ish thing. Yes.
Do you have any favorite lines from Sailor Moon?
I do, but I can't remember any of them. Susie, the director, is really good at letting us say things, as long as it doesn't take away from the original, like, plot. I know that, like, when I made fun of Mamoru's purple pleated pants, that got a lot of internet buzz. And then there was some line that I had a callback to it. I can't remember what it was, but that was really funny. So those are always a lot of fun. And there was something I said maybe the way I said during the whole tree of life, that whole evil tree thing. But now I can't remember the actual lines. I'm really bad at remembering lines. They just go, whoop, they like leave my head. I have friends that are in Shakespeare plays, and then they're in the Shakespeare play like once, and they can quote all of their lines ever. I do a play, as soon as I'm done with the play, I've forgotten everything. So, sorry. Yes, you
Have you ever had an Usagi day where you wake up late and you did everything?
Yes. I have this a lot. I feel like I'm a very grounded person. I'm not ditzy, but I have like super ditzy moments. We're just like super like, yeah, I used to think like sometimes, okay, I'm much more mature now, but like I'm a bit of a Pollyanna, like I'm a little bit of like a positive, like, when I was in high school, so you know how you guys have mailboxes, right? And mailboxes have flags on the mailboxes, right? Do you guys know what the flags on the mailboxes are for?
Yeah, we actually have mail.
When you have mail to like,
Yeah, for them to like pick up.
when you have outgoing mail,
Yeah,
right?
outgoing, yeah.
You put the flag up to let the mail person know that there's outgoing mail. All right. Well, I did not know that. And I could not figure out, I didn't know why there was a flag. And so when I was in junior high, I decided, oh, that flag must be for the mailman to let you know that you have mail.
That's what I.
It never occurred to me that it was like that you get mail every day, so why would you need the flag? Or I don't know, like, oh, then you know the mail guy has come, because you'll put up the flag. So I decided to be a good Samaritan. And I was a latchkey kid. I walked home from school every day, and it was about a 45-minute walk. And so every day, once I had this in my mind, I decided I was going to be a good person. I was going to check everybody's mailbox, and if they had mail, I would put that flag up. And so that's what I did all along my route home, every single day. Then one day, my dad was like sick or whatever. He didn't go to work. He took the day off or whatever, or maybe it was a Saturday. I don't know, but he was home. And I was home watching TV. The doorbell rings, and then my dad goes, "Oh, the door." It's not very uncommon for this to have visitors or anything. And then he comes back, and I was like, "Oh, Dad," because my dad's like looking like really strange. And then I'm like, I'm like, "Dad, who was at the door?" And he goes, "That was the mailman." And he goes, "Huh?" And I was like, "Oh, what the mailman want?" And he goes, He told me that only to put the flag up when I had outgoing mail." And he goes, "I don't know why you told me that though. It just seems random." And I sat there, and that's the moment I realized that that's what the flag was for. And I was like, oh my gosh, that poor mailman. It's a 45-minute walk. I do that every single day. Yeah. So I do like silly, I can't just make assumptions like, oh, this must be for this. And then I mean to do good, but then somehow mess things up. There was another thing that, this seems like a very misogyny thing to do. This is when I was in elementary school. It was April Fool's, and I love the idea of April Fool's jokes, right? So I decided, I read in a book that, oh, it's a funny thing to put ice in someone's shoes, you know, so that when they put it on, they're like, oh my gosh, it's ice, they stepped on ice, so it's a shock, April Fool's, da 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 da. So I have a younger brother, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna put ice in Alex's shoes. I'm in elementary school, mind you, okay, so you have to be a little forgiving. And I thought, ooh, but how am I gonna sneak the ice into his shoes before we go to, you know, in between breakfast and when we leave? How am I gonna do that? How am I gonna pull that off? And then I thought, I know. I'm gonna put the ice in his shoes the night before.
Oh God, it melts.
And so that's what I did. And then the next morning, my mom and my brother could not figure out why his shoes were wet. And I said nothing. So, yeah. So I'm not always the brightest. Do you have any other questions? Oh. Give me 1 second.
He's getting close on there. You just got the video, guys.
No. Okay, any other questions? We have like 30 more minutes! Don't we?
I think so.
Who's in charge here? They're all catching something. Okay, any other questions? That was, I feel like I've been talking for an hour. Yes.
I was wondering, like, during your final battle between Girl, when you were voicing those lines, were you like feeling any of the like intensity that the players feel when they watch it? Because that was like really, really bad. So do you get that kind of feeling when you're voicing it?
I mean, you have to at some level, you know. So, I mean, it's not like to the point that I can't recover, because it is like a fantasy world. But there are some shows or projects that I've worked on that's so emotional that like you need a moment, like, you know, almost like, it could almost like ruin your day if you're not too careful because you're going through such negative emotions. It's not that bad, But definitely you do get kind of, you do have to you do get emotional in the moment, yeah. Yeah. There was another question on this side somewhere. Yes. I don't think so. I don't think I look like a celebrity. Like, I'm really short, you know, I think I look like a normal person, so like, most people don't, and then also I'm like kind of bummy. Like, I'll like wear sweatpants, or I'll go to a convention, not wear makeup, and I don't think that's really what you're supposed to do, but it depends on how I feel. Like, if I feel really lazy, I'm like, I'm wearing a backpack still. Anyway, so it doesn't, I mean, maybe every once in a while, but for the most part, they don't. Actually, quite the opposite. I was at PMX one year, okay? And I was in the artist alley. And I had my badge on, I was wandering down the artist alley, and some guy points at me and goes, he reads my badge, and goes, Stephanie Sheh, that's funny. And I'm like, what? What's so funny about that? Like, oh, you like put Stephanie Sheh on your badge. And I was like, right, because that's me. And then they were like, what? And they're like, oh my God, they go, are you Stephanie Sheh? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But for some reason, I did not fit the image of what they had of me at all, that they thought it was hilarious because they thought I was pretending to be me. So like, that's how much I think I don't give the aura off of like a celebrity or a voice actor person, I don't know. But yeah, I don't really get it that much. I've been, before I started voice acting, when I was still working, like producing and stuff, somebody stopped me in a hallway of a hotel room, and they thought I was Tiffany Grant, which makes no sense because Tiffany Grant is like this skinny white lady, and I am not. And then one time when I was in college and I was walking through Westwood, somebody stopped me and said, do you work for Steven Spielberg? And I was like, nope. But that's not thinking I'm a celebrity. She must have like gone into like Amblin Entertainment and saw somebody that looked like me or something, I don't know. But she thought I worked for Steven Spielberg. I don't know. So I get like that kind of stuff. And I also, and then I will also get, people will for some reason think that I am Latina. I don't know what it is, but I've been mistaken for Latina many, many, many times in my life. I think because maybe when I don't know, I don't really look Chinese. Maybe I'm 100% Chinese, but a lot of people think I'm Filipino or Latina. But, I don't know.
I always confuse you with Todd Havercorn, but that's just me. I mean,
Todd is half Asian.
Well, that's the thing. I'm just confused with all these percentages. But
Todd always tells me that I look like his grandmother or something like that.
Well, I
don't think he means that. Like I look like a grandmother, but you know, because I think his grandmother.
The oldest person I can think of. It's you.
Is short. Like,
she's short and Asian.
Yeah, she's short and Asian too, or something like that. I don't know.
I apologize that I was dealing with something. I wandered away just to see if you still needed me, and apparently you did. We do have your time check. We got about 12 minutes left because we are going to we have to dump the room and then reload for each panel.
Okay.
So that way you're
That's okay. They were running out of questions anyway, right?
Right, they're like, oh, we don't even need you anymore.
You're running out of
10-minute warning, folks. 10-minute warning. Don't hold back. Ask away.
What? Who hasn't asked a question? Okay, you guys decide.